Hello, welcome to Sri Lanka 99.94 Cricket Every Day. My name's Mark Machado from the Murali End, and I'm joined as always by Estelle Vasudevan from the Papare. Sri Lanka on 99.94 is your home for Sri Lanka content, and we'll be dropping into your podcast feed and on YouTube and the 99.94 app about 3 times a week. Thanks for joining Cricket's Conversation. Today we're going to be speaking about the Sri Lankan Legends team that are in the Road Safety Series, because there's a lot to talk about over there, and it's mostly fun things as well. But before we talk about that, the cricket world has erupted because of this discussions about a run out at the non-strikers end, which is obviously the controversial way that the India women's side beat the England team on Saturday. Estelle, I'm in the thick of it over here in London. You're in Colombo. Just wanted to talk to you about what the reaction's been in Sri Lanka to the run out.
I think it's a kind of a split reaction. A lot of people are pointing out that it's within the laws of the game. And of course, today we also heard that apparently Deepti Sharma won the England batter, but I mean, of course, that has been refuted by Heather Knight. And so there's a little bit more controversy in it. But I think overall it was kind of split in Sri Lanka, which I found kind of strange because I guess to me, it's pretty straightforward, right? It's within the laws of the game. There is no requirement for a warning. And also, it just makes sense, right? Just stay in your crease. Why would you risk that when you're 9 down and a handful of runs to get? So it's kind of split. A lot of people, of course, there's this whole moral side to things, and they bring in the spirit, the elusive spirit of the game, which none of us seem to really have a clear understanding of. But yeah, kind of divided in their opinion on what happened.
Yeah, I'm firstly, I love these kind of controversies that happen in cricket. I'm totally backing the bowler over here. I think it's the right thing to do. I'd like to see more instance of running out the non-strikers end during a bowling, because for no other reason. I mean, if you go back and look at the evolution of cricket, essentially, but when you go back and look at it, there's an elitism at the core of it, right? And the rich people batted and the poor people bowled, and the rich people paid poor people to bowl at them. And actually, the rules or the laws, of the game seem to be quite always weighted in favour of the batter. And anything that can kind of readdress that, I think, is a good thing. Also, anything that can get people talking about cricket and interested in it, I think it's a great thing for the game as well. So let's go with it. People talk about the spirit of cricket. I mean, I look at that Future Tours program. I don't see much of the spirit of cricket in that. So I'm not going to get, as a Sri Lanka fan, I'm not going to get too held up with the spirit of cricket. And I look forward to Sri Lanka winning tournaments by getting the 10th wicket. Using that method to get that 10th wicket. So more power to the bowlers, I say. Shall we talk about the Sri Lanka Legends? Which might be, people might think it's a bit of an odd thing to talk about. But they're all over social media at the moment. They're posting from, I think it's Dehradun in India, where this road safety tournament is happening. If you don't know about it, there's a Legends teams from all across the globe. There's a Bangladeshi Legends team. There's an England Legends team, the South Africa Legends, New Zealand Legends, Australia Legends, West Indies Legends, and obviously it's in India, so there's an India Legends team. Sri Lanka have started it off the tournament really well. One of their games was abandoned, but they've won their other 3, so they will progress to the next round, which I think is the semi-final and the final. But the reason why I wanted to really do this episode, Estelle, is because it seems to me that Sri Lanka, more than any other nation, seems to be gaming the system a little bit, right?
Yeah, I think they do take it quite seriously, the road safety series. I remember last year it was quite a big hit in Sri Lanka as well. I think that's because the national side was not doing so well. So it was like a sweet distraction to have Sanat Jayasuriya on your screens again. This time around, Um, I wouldn't call myself old. So there are a couple of players in that side who are younger than me. So I don't know whether that's gaming the system or, just making the most of uh, the rules and, finding the little loopholes they can to put on a put it a competitive side.
Well, I think the average age of the side, so the two kind of, or I suppose the three kind of top names of actual out and out Sri Lankan legends. And I should just state, for the record, I believe anyone who played for Sri Lanka at any level, be it under 19s or be it getting selected for an over 60s team, whatever, for me, as someone who can, you can barely see the ball coming down the track or barely throw the ball down the track, I would consider a legend of the game, right? So I'm not disputing that any of these people are legends. However, it's clear to me that some of these players are just going into retirement so they can get selected for this tournament, right?
Yeah, and some of them are still playing, I think, domestic cricket around the world. You've got guys like Isrudan, Thisara Pereira, still available for things like the LPL and I don't know, whatever other leagues around the world. So they are in good touch. They've got, they're fit. Uh, they are not, I wouldn't say at the top of their games, but they're somewhere there. Like it's someone like Thisara Pereira, he's 33 years old. Um, Maybe could have been playing for Sri Lanka, but he kind of fell off with the management and all of that a couple of years ago. So it didn't work out. But definitely, I think if he had not pulled out or retired from international cricket, he would be in the mix in the national side even now. So yeah, I don't know about players retiring to play this, but I guess when you think about it, if you have no chance of playing for Sri Lanka, right? Why not maximize these last couple of years when you can play some decent cricket and make some money?
If God forbid Barnacle Rajapaksa got injured and Sri Lanka needed a big hitter, I don't think either of us would be upset if Thisara Pereira took his place, right? He could, he's not that far away from getting to the squad, really, in the grand scheme of Sri Lankan cricket, is he?
Yeah, I think that does close though. I mean, Sri Lanka have moved on from Thisara Pereira. They've got guys like Lahiru Madhusankar, Lahiru Samarakon in the mix. I don't even want to think about Bhanuka Rajapaksa getting injured because that'll really throw a spanner in the works for Sri Lanka. They don't have that many batting options. We discussed the squad. We don't have that kind of bench or the second kind of line of players to come into that side. So, yeah, fingers crossed nothing happens like that. But I think Sri Lanka cricket is well and truly, past. They've moved on from Thisara.
Can we talk about Tilakarani Dilshan and Sanajaya Surya because they're kind of the elder statesmen of the squad? I know Treminder Vast is there, but I don't think he's actually played a game yet for them. Dilshan is 45. He still seems extremely fit. Some of his fielding has been incredible. I think he still plays quite a lot of cricket in Melbourne, right?
Yeah, he's involved in some domestic cricket in Melbourne. He's one guy, like he never looks like he's out of the game, right? Even when he was playing for Sri Lanka, whether it's with the bat or the ball or in the field, he's always in the game, and nothing seems to have changed even this many years later. Like I don't think he'd make the team now, but like even maybe 2019, he was still making that side because he was that good. Um, his hand eye coordination is so good. His fielding is fantastic, and Sri Lanka still haven't found that top order batter who can bowl like Dilshan could, who could do that role for them in the shortest format of the game.
I think he's one of the few players in international cricket who've batted, bowled, and kept wicket right for a team. There's only and he's he's kept wicket a number of times. It wasn't just filling in due to injuries or midway through an innings, right? And he's bowled a fair amount. So I mean that's kind of testament to the athlete he was, and he's probably off that from the era that he played cricket, he's probably the most underrated one because of stuff that the other players around him in the team went on to achieve, and maybe he's not as eloquent in the media as other players in the team have been as well. but I mean, his contribution to the game will never be forgotten because he's one of the few players that has like an actual baton stroke named after him, right? Which is incredible.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. He because of the time he played and because of the type of players he had around him, people didn't really take much note of Dilshan. But the way I think his story is again worthy of a separate episode for us. The like I mean he did it all right. He started off as a lower middle order bat. I think in that 2007 World Cup he was instrumental in Sri Lanka's success coming into the final. And that time he was batting at number 6 or 7, I think. And then from there he suddenly got the opportunity to open and then kind of really blew up. He was incredible opening the batting. And what I loved about him was like in no aspect of the game was he a half player, right? He's not a part-time bowler. You can't call him a part-time bowler because any given opportunity, he's out there getting wickets for you. He's out there bowling in the power play. So yeah, just an incredible player and incredibly underrated.
You're listening to Cricket's Conversation on 99.94. Whatever your team, we have shows for you on podcast, on YouTube, and on the 99.4 app. We have India, England, South Africa, the West Indies, and I even think minor league cricket as well. If you want to find us, the best way is to follow us on social media at 99.94DM by download the 99.94 app or Google 99.94 on podcast. We speak cricket. And as a personal favour to Estelle and myself, if you can please leave us a review, that would be much appreciated as well. Estelle, can we talk about Sanjay Surya now? Because obviously he's involved at the Legends side. He's not been opening the batting as has been traditional for him. Partly that's because Dilshan's been scoring centuries, and there's other maybe younger players who can do that job. But Sanjay's probably one of the most loved people on the island, isn't he?
Yeah, and he's such a crowd puller. I think that's one of the reasons why he's in that side, even though I know he's had a lot of issues with his knees. He's had a knee replacement surgery and so on. So can't be easy for him being out there. That's probably one of the reasons why he doesn't open the batting. But he's such a crowd puller, right? Anywhere you go, anywhere around the world, if you say Sanam Jayasuriya is playing, there'd be a few people who want to come and see him, come and see those, trademark cut shots and the flicks. And just the kind of uh, character he is on the field is something that everybody wants to watch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in the, we try not to get political in this show, but in the recent, the political turmoil that Sri Lanka's been going through, he's also become quite an outspoken figure as well. And, if you go back and look at the history of Sri Lankan cricket, there is a lot to be said from the kind of background that South comes from, and the fact he was able to get into the side and make have such a big impact on the team. And at the time now, we all take it for granted that he was a big hit and opener, but he was very much the first of his ilk, right? When he starts to open the batting just before the '96 World Cup, there was not many teams playing cricket like that. He's one of the kind of, he's one of the, in his own way, he's one of the, no, he's in his own way. He is just straight up one of the pioneers of the game. And I think he's rightfully lauded by the adoring Sri Lankan public because of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think personal experience, I have like a magical, it was magical for me. I was maybe 11 or 12. I was a bit of an athlete, and we used to have these meets at a ground called Reed Avenue. Now it's Racecourse Stadium, and his club Bloomfield was right next door. So one day after meet, I was coming outside, and this hulking figure, Sanat Jayasuri, his forearms, right? That's what everybody spoke about, his forearms. He jogged past me. I know, okay, this is going to sound boring, but it was like amazing for me. He jogged past, and his biceps were bigger than my head to me at that point. And it was like this magical aura around this guy, right? And, at that point, we were cricket obsessed. To just see him that's the kind of personality I think he was to a lot of people our age, because we grew up seeing these amazing things he did on the field. So seeing him like that kind of incredible. So yeah, I'm sure there are loads of people even now who see him and are just kind of in awe of just his presence.
Yeah, and by all accounts, he's a lovely bloke as well. What I want to ask you is which legends, Sri Lanka legends, and as we've defined, that is now anyone who's got anywhere near a Sri Lanka shirt, would you like to see at some point get involved with this team? And so because I know in previous iterations of this legend side, people like Murali and Rangana Herath and people like that have played, and I wonder if it's just that, if it's a clash of calendars or whatever, why they're not involved this time around. Who knows?
Well, I'm not a huge fan of, I don't really watch much of the tournament because some part of me is a bit sad to see all these guys who we grew up dominating world cricket getting thrashed all over the park. But you know who I'd really love to see is Suresh Pereira. Do you remember Suresh Pereira?
No.
He didn't play for very long. He didn't play for very long. He maybe played 1 year of international cricket. This incredible all-rounder, ball like Nuwan Kulasekara maybe could hit the ball. There's this partnership between him and Russell Arnold. I don't have the details right now, but he was a fantastic player. Things didn't quite work out for him, unfortunately, but he was like the Angelo Matthews before Angelo Matthews came along. Wasn't as good a batsman. I don't think you can say he was as good a batsman as Angelo, but he was that all-rounder before all-rounders became like a necessity in every team. So I'd love to see him. I think he's in Australia. I don't know whether he plays cricket anymore, but I remember a few years ago, a story about him surfacing where he was playing like a league somewhere in Australia, a lower league. So yeah, that would be great if we could get someone like that on board.
Yeah, I think in Australia, I think particularly around Melbourne, there seems to be quite a lot of former Sri Lankan internationals and first class players playing cricket, right? I know the boys who run the Sri Lankan Cricket Podcast, they play cricket in Victoria to really high standards and really good levels. I saw Endeavour Hills, half the Sri Lankan Test team seems to be playing for Endeavour Hills. I've absolutely no idea how cricket, the finances of grade cricket work in Victoria, but they seem to be able to bring over some quality players to their sides. Maybe at some point we should, maybe get hold of Jared or someone else from that part of the world and ask them to explain to us how this all works, because there seems to be quite a number, as I said, quite a number of very good Sri Lankan cricketers in that part of the world playing cricket, and it'd be interesting if we can somehow get them back in the fold, even if it is playing for Legends, for a Legends side, to see what they can do, right?
Yeah, it'd be nice to see. I think, like you said, we've seen Murali, the Herats playing on and off in these tournaments, so it'd be nice to see some of the guys who didn't really make it to legendary status while they played to kind of get a look into some of these teams.
If you love the language of cricket and want more, then head over to the 99.94 app and you can hear all our podcast and cricket commentary. We're adding new shows all the time and covering cricket series from all over the world. Be the first to hear all our announcements by following us on social media at 999full-DM. Welcome to Cricket's Conversation. Estelle, let's round this up by ask. I want to know, and I know you kind of said you feel kind of sad watching these games. I love it, especially because the way I tend to consume it is through clips on Instagram or Twitter. And also everyone just looks so happy playing it. Like Dilshan just looks like he's having the time of his life playing these games. I would like to see more Legends games. And I wonder if actually you could just kind of run a kind of almost an ongoing Legends series alongside all the other. And I know there's a lot of other cricket going on, just going on through the world. And every few months you could just have, an England team turn up to SL and play 2 or 3 T20 games, and then SL go off to Australia or something, and just keep it going. I really like it, but I think you're gonna say the opposite, right?
Yeah, like I said, I'm not very keen on the kind of Legends because I remember I can't remember what that tournament was, but it had like Wasim and Waka and all of them. And they were getting like thrashed to every part of the grounds. It was painful to watch, the kind of players that you grew up. I think the game's a lot harder on the bowler. So to watch that kind of thing happening, I wasn't too happy. So this time I haven't really followed the tournament that closely. Of course, I saw the wickets Sana Jasuri took and Dilshan's amazing fielding, I think against Australia or South Africa, and Jonty Rhodes playing. He was my favorite player growing up. So I followed a bit of that, but otherwise I'm not too keen. But I think it's a good thing for players and fans all together, just to have a couple of casual things. Of course, this series is also played for a cause, road safety. I think there's a deeper kind of reason behind it. So I mean, if it helps people, if they can connect it to a cause, then yeah, I'm more than happy if they continue to play. I most likely won't watch, but yeah.
Let's leave it there. If you haven't seen it already, it's well worth going to watch highlights of Dilshan's century. He gets bowled out by Brett Lee, but I mean, any Sri Lankan player at any level scoring a century against Australia is something to celebrate, in my opinion. Thank you for listening to Sri Lanka on 99.94 Cricket Every Day. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Download the 99.94 app and follow us personally at Mark Machado on Twitter for me, or you can follow Estelle at Estelle_Vasu Day1, as in the number one. We'll put links up for everything we do there on this podcast and beyond. Also, follow our network at 9994DM on social media. Follow for podcasts and commentary from the bat and ball world. Thanks for joining Cricket's Conversation on 99.94 We Speak Cricket.